This is one of my most requested videos. So let's talk about some highlights of the history of the human-pigeon relationship. But first, my name is Rory and I'm making content about pigeons, doves, and vet med, so if those are things that are interesting to you, please follow along. Rock pigeons were domesticated somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 years ago, which means it is entirely possible they were domesticated before chickens. That would make them the earliest domesticated bird. Back in those days, pigeons would have been kept mostly for food and for fertilizer. Because they eat grains, pigeons are incredibly cheap to feed, and they always fly back to their home roost. That meant you could kind of just throw seeds at them and let them live in a little nook, and your food source would always be there. Pigeon feces are also an incredible fertilizer, and all of those things together made pigeons a great candidate for domestication. Fast forward a little bit, and humans needed to be able to communicate, and as shocking as it is, humans have not always had cell phones. The pigeon homing ability meant you could bring one of your pigeons with you, and when you wanted to send a message back home, you could tie it to the pigeon, release it, and then it would fly back to the loft. Side note, I think some people think that pigeon communication meant you could just tie a letter to a pigeon and send it to whomever you wanted. That's not how it works. Pigeons only go in one direction, and that is home. Eventually, pigeons became sort of a status symbol. During the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, you could only have a dovecote if you were a feudal lord, and the higher your status, the more magnificent your dovecote could be. But oh boy, this appreciation of pigeons did not last. Public perception of the pigeon started to change in the 1930s, 1940s, and in 1963, a public health official from New York actually declared that 2 deaths were because of pigeons. There was a big push at the time to paint pigeons as these disease-carrying vermin, and even though those deaths were later discovered to not be related to pigeons, the damage was already done. If you want to learn more about the demonization of pigeons, I highly suggest reading How Pigeons Became Rats, The Cultural Spatial Logic of Problem Animals by Colin Jerelmack. So now humanity sees pigeons as rats with wings, but that's not where the story ends. You may have noticed that in recent years, the public is starting to see pigeons in a more positive light. And I think that has a lot to do with this wonderful community. Pigeon lovers everywhere are showing people why pigeons are great. And it's working. In my opinion, we're at the start of the rebirth of the human-pigeon relationship, thanks to people like you. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for caring about pigeons. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time.